Okay, hello students and welcome to our first flipped classroom. This is flipped classroom number 1 and today I'm going to talk about section 4-4 in the Azar grammar book, and this one is about present perfect with unspecified time. Okay, so present perfect is the verb tense that we have been learning in chapter 4. And we know that there are many uses of the present perfect. One of the uses is this one. It's used to say that something happened before now. It happened in the past, but that we don't know exactly when the action happened. So we don't know exactly when, but we know it happened sometime in the past. And one of the examples we used in class was, I have lived in China, right? If I use present perfect here, have and verb 3, then you know that this happened in the past, but we don't know exactly when. What year did I live in China, for example, right? Some time words that we often use with present perfect to talk about the past are these in the chart below, and we're going to talk about some of them today. The words are just, recently, already, ever, never, and yet. Okay, and we're going to talk about 4 of these words in just a moment. Okay, let's take a look at some example sentences down here. Number 1 says, Dong has just arrived, right? If I tell you Dong has just arrived, think about when that happened, right? When did Dong arrive? And the second sentence, Jenna has recently changed jobs, right? So I'd like you to take a look at number 1 and number 2 up here and think about the answers to each of the questions, A and B. And you can pause the video and think about your answer because I'm going to tell you the answer in just a moment. So please pause the video while you think. Okay, so the answer to letter A, when did each event happen up here? If you guess that they happened in the past, then you are correct. High five. Both Dong arrived in the past and also Jenna recently changed jobs in the past, according to the sentence. Now, letter B says, do we know exactly when? Do we know exactly when Jenna changed her job or exactly when Dong arrived to the class? No, we do not. Okay, so we can see how this illustrates our use of the present perfect, right? Let's take a look at another one of the words. We can also use present perfect to talk about repeated actions or things that happened more than one time. Right? And actually, our classmate Jenna gave us a good example in class on Thursday, right? When Jenna said, Jenna has gotten 3 jobs since she graduated, right? So this tells us how many jobs Jenna has gotten, right? And that is a repeated action. She got 1 job, she got a 2nd job, and finally she got a 3rd job, right? So this is one of the reasons that we use the present perfect, right? I have a couple of questions down here for you to think about. Please pause the video again and think about the answers to your questions here. Try to use the present perfect. Okay, so here's an example answer. Okay, how many times have you seen your favorite movie? Okay, so we could say I have seen, maybe your favorite movie is the Titanic. Okay, so we could say I have seen the Titanic how many times? 7 times. Okay, maybe you really love the Titanic and you want to talk about how many times you have seen it. We can use the present perfect, have and verb 3, okay? Let's have a look at the second one. How many paragraphs have you written this semester? Okay, so you can say something like, I have written 4 paragraphs this semester. okay? Here, we use the present perfect, and we're not talking about how many times, but we're talking about the repeated actions of how many paragraphs. I have written 4 paragraphs this semester. Holy cow, okay? One thing to note about when we use the present perfect to talk about how many times or repeated actions, when we say one time, we often use this word once. And when we say 2 times, we often use the word twice, right? So for example, if you have only seen the Titanic 1 time, we might say, I have seen the Titanic once. And if you, well, maybe that's not a good example. We might say something like, I have ridden a horse twice in my life, right? So instead of saying 2 times, we're going to say twice, right? Okay, so that's present perfect with repeated actions, things that happen more than 1 time. Let's go down to one of our keywords, which is already, okay? Already is a very, very useful word. The meaning of already is that something happened before now. Again, we don't know exactly when it happened, but we know it happened before this time, right? Very important to remember is that already is only used in affirmative statements. That means it's only used in positive sentences. We cannot use it in a negative sentence. Already can come in 2 places in the sentence. Either it can come after the helper verb, or it can come at the end of the sentence. So let's take a look at a couple of ways that it is used like that. The first sentence says, I have eaten breakfast already. Here already is at the end of the sentence, right? At the very, very end. We can also put it after the helper verb though, remember. So we could switch already and we could put it in the middle after have, and have is the helper verb, okay? The second one says class has already started. Again, we don't know when exactly class started, but we know that class started before now. Something happened before now. Here, for this one, class has already started. Is already after the helper verb or at the end of the sentence? Obviously, it's after the helper verb, right? We can also switch already, and we can put it at the end of the sentence if we feel like it, okay? So already gives you some options. It happened before now, affirmative sentence, and it can come in 2 places in the sentence. Let's compare it to the opposite. What if we don't want to talk about an affirmative sentence? We want to talk about a negative sentence, right? Then we can use yet, okay? Yet means that something did not happen before now, but it might happen in the future. And this is very important. For yet, we have to believe that the action might happen in the future, or that we plan for it to happen in the future, right? It's also very important to note that yet is only used in negative statements. In other words, we cannot use yet if our sentence is positive, okay? Yet also can only come in 1 place in the sentence. It must come only at the end of the sentence, okay? For example, let's take a look at number 1. I haven't eaten dinner yet. Notice that this is a negative sentence, have not, right? And yet comes at the end of the sentence. So we're following our 2 rules. In this sentence, did I eat dinner before now? No, I didn't. But do I think I will eat dinner in the future? Yes, I do. I plan to eat dinner in the future. Remember, yet is something that did not happen before, but it might happen or will probably happen in the future, right? Sentence number 2 talks about something that I think is true for many of you students. You're thinking about what classes to take next semester. Now, I think that you probably haven't registered for next semester's classes yet, meaning you haven't chosen the classes yet, but you're thinking about it, right? So again, we're using present perfect and we're using a negative sentence, have not registered, okay? We're putting yet at the end of the sentence. And again, do you plan to register in the future? Yes, I hope you do, right? Okay, I have a question down here. It says, answer the question and use yet and the present perfect, okay? What is something you haven't done, but you plan to do soon, okay? So again, please pause the video and take a moment to think about this. And in a second, I'm gonna give you an example answer. Okay, here's my example answer. Something I have not done in the past. Oh, we talked about in class that I haven't swum with sharks. Remember, swim, swam, swum? So I'm using a negative sentence, have not swum. I'm using present perfect here. And I'm going to add yet at the end of the sentence, right? I haven't swum with sharks yet. Once again, we know it's something I haven't done in the past, but do I want to swim with sharks? Yes. Maybe you think it's crazy, but yes, when I add yet, it means I want to do this in the future, or I plan to do this in the future. Now, many students ask, well, what if I don't want to swim with sharks in the future? I just want to make a negative sentence with present perfect. What can I do? Well, we'll have to erase yet. And we can say either I haven't swum with sharks, period, or we can make it stronger and we can say something like I have never swum with sharks. So that means never in my life, 0 times I did it, and I probably don't want to do it in the future, right? All right, we're gonna put back yet, and we're gonna move on to our last comment, which is one thing that already and yet have in common. Already and yet can both be used in questions, right? So even though we know that already is used for positive statements, it can also be used for questions, right? And even though we know that yet is used for negative, it can also be used for questions, right? So the commonality between already and yet is they can both be used for questions, okay? Let's take a look at some examples. Already, as we know, can be used in 2 places in the sentence, right? Here in the middle, before the main verb, and also it can be used at the end of the sentence. So we can say, have you already eaten lunch? Or we can say, have you eaten lunch already? Both 1 and 2 have the same meaning. There is no change to the meaning, okay? Number 3 also has the same meaning. Have you eaten lunch yet? So all of them are asking, did you eat lunch before this time, right? All right, I know you've been waiting for this moment. Here is your grammar homework for the weekend, okay? Please review the chart 4-4 on page 90. This is what I've talked about in the flipped classroom in this video. Please do exercise 91 in Azar, exercise 16, page 91, exercise 16, and also page 92, exercise 18, okay? Finally, and most importantly, please do the exercise that I'm going to show you on the next page, okay? I would like you to write the answers to the exercise on a separate sheet of paper. Separate sheet of paper. You will turn them into me next Tuesday for a grade. So make sure that you do this on a separate sheet of paper and that you give it to me next Tuesday so that I can know that you watched this video, okay? So here are the directions, and I'm gonna do one for you for free, and you're gonna do the rest on your own, okay? Directions say, use the words in parentheses to make a sentence. Be sure to use the present perfect tense. Please check this, have or has and verb 3. Also be careful where you place words like yet and already. Remember, in this video, we learned where to put yet, where to put already, okay, in the sentence. And if you don't know, watch the video again or just watch that part. Pay attention to whether the sentence should be affirmative, positive, or negative. And remember, these words will tell you if the sentence should be affirmative or positive. I'm sorry, affirmative or negative. For the last two sentences, I'd like you to please make one sentence of your own using the words in parentheses. Okay, so this is your free time. You can make any sentence you like. Let's look at number 1. I already listened to music. All right, I think I can do this. So I have let's see, already, is it affirmative or negative? I think that already, I remember, is always affirmative. So I'm going to say, I already listened to music. Okay? And because I'm a good student, I'm going to check my answer. Let's see. Did I use already? Yes, I did. Did I use the present perfect tense? Oh, shoot. No, I didn't. I need to use the present perfect. So I'm going to say I have or has. I have, okay. Already listen. This needs to be verb 3. So I'm going to say listened, right? I have already listened to music. Perfect. And I also know that already can go after the helper verb, but it can also go at the end of the sentence. So I can say I have listened to music already, or I can say I have already listened to music. Beautiful. I think you're ready to do it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see the directions and all of the questions, okay? Please pause the video, do the exercise on a separate sheet of paper, and be ready to turn it in to me for a grade on Tuesday. All right, students, thank you for watching our first flipped classroom. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it was useful. Please give me some feedback next week about whether you liked it or not, if it was helpful or not, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful weekend and see you next Tuesday.